Some new developments on the Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 front. I've already talked about the myriad aspects that garnered it negative PR, from the ads that they presented when you boot up your Xbox, to the fact that there was an error at one point where it asked for a PS4 Modern Warfare disc in order for you to be able to play the early access campaign. It has been fixed, but it highlights that this was likely going to be an expansion before it became a full-fledged standalone title. The huge storage space size of 200 some gigabytes, and it is actually even bigger on PlayStation 5, 234.9 gigabytes. That wasn't helped by the fact that Modern Warfare 3 is requiring that you download Call of Duty HQ, which makes launching it unintuitive, on top of the fact that it adds a significant amount of storage space that fills up. And then the length of the campaign itself, even by Call of Duty standards, was not something that people were happy about, with many reporting that it comes in at roughly 3 to 4 hours, maybe 5 if you kind of extend it a little bit and really take your time. It was also discovered that Modern Warfare 3 doesn't have a platinum trophy because it is categorized as DLC for Modern Warfare 2, which is even more emblematic of the true nature of this game. And then when it comes to the quality of the campaign itself, many are deeming it to be the worst Call of Duty campaign in modern history, with IGN giving it a 4 out of 10, saying that it's underbaked, rehashed, and cobbled together from multiplayer parts, and the whole open combat element just not being fully fleshed out and it just dragging down the campaign. Same thing with GameSpot, saying that the open combat missions suffer from pacing issues, not a lot of payoff to the story. Campaign doesn't do much that is worth seeing in its brief runtime. And then plenty of reviews are basically saying the same thing, that it's a series low point, that it just mostly sucks. Same thing goes for content creators who are giving it scores like 5 out of 10. There's this whole video here dedicated to just what critics on YouTube in particular have been saying, as well as just other platforms altogether, on Twitter, you name it. It has just been consistently negative feedback. And among fans, it's also being called the worst Call of Duty campaign. And on Reddit, you'll find plenty of feedback with people expressing their bafflement that the campaign quality could be this low when the bar was raised pretty high by some of the more well-known and some of the more renowned campaigns and series past. The game is now out of early access. It's officially launched, and if you go to Steam, you'll find that reviews with 1,152 reviews is currently sitting at only 36%, with many people not only criticizing the campaign, but the fact that many aspects of the multiplayer also just feel kind of recycled. For example, Modern Warfare 3 only has remake maps from the 2009 Modern Warfare 2 at launch, and then there's no dedicated co-op mode, but instead a Treyarch-developed Zombies mode that reuses the Warzone map. Now we'll have to wait and see what the feedback surrounding the zombie modes looks like once the game has been out for a couple days. But if you look at critic reviews right now, a lot of them centered around the campaign, you can see that all of them read rather negatively. Atomics gave it a 50 out of 100. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 is one of the worst games of this year, and proof that Activision really needs to give it a long break. A real shame that a series with so much history is being treated like this. Now, I've already shown you reviews from IGN and GameSpot, who gave it a 4 and 5 respectively. Here we have Games Radar. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 has a strangely bland campaign that has its moments, but feels rushed and somewhat forced. Scrolling further down, we have one from GamePro Germany. With a well-known villain and more open mission, Sledgehammer Games wants to make Modern Warfare 3 solo mode appealing to us, but we enjoyed almost nothing in the campaign. And that's kind of what the general feedback is like across all of these reviews. I've really not seen anything that was positive enough where this game would be marked as a recommendation. And then going to OpenCritic, we can see the current top critic average is sitting at 54 from 19 critic reviews. And then in terms of how many critics would recommend this game, only a mere 7%. On the player side of things, a lot of people are already requesting refunds, which is something that's being reported on. And you can see on outlets like Reddit, the campaign ain't so bad after all, now that I know that I played it for free. This player was able to beat the campaign and still get a refund because the campaign is just that short. You can beat it, it's only a couple hours, and it's enough of a grace period where if you make your case that just the game didn't live up to certain quality standards and whatnot, Steam may very well refund you. Here's Exoghost reporting something similar, where my brother requested a refund of Modern Warfare 3 and wrote this: game is horrible and feels like DLC, paid $70 for a 4-hour game, while DLC in games like Resident Evil 4 Remake was $10 for 5-hour games plus extras. That is actually a really apt comparison. $10 Resident Evil 4 Remake's DLC, and it gives you so much more than the campaign experience of Modern Warfare 3. Now, Modern Warfare 3 does have the multiplayer component, and we'll see how that is received as the days go by, though early goings-ons are rough in certain spots, which I'll get to in a bit. But yeah, this individual's brother apparently managed to get a refund. Now, I don't know if refunds will happen en masse enough where it's going to have any significant long-term financial impacts for Activision to the point where they're going to reconsider things. I get the sense that because it is a Call of Duty game, it's still going to do commercially really well, which is why Activision just keeps getting away with stuff like this. Now, here's an interesting new report about why Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3's campaign ended up being so underwhelming. Turns out that the development timeline for this game might have been some of the shortest we've ever seen for a Call of Duty game. Developers, which is what was predicted, weren't given enough time to really flesh out this campaign and to make Modern Warfare 3 just the highest quality package. So PC Gamer right here tweeted, Sledgehammer Games responds to Modern Warfare 3's turbulent reception in spite of a report which says its short campaign was pulled together in just 16 months. That's according to a report by Jason Schreier, who published the following article on Bloomberg titled, New Call of Duty Draws Harsh Reviews After Rushed Development. This is just one of those common bad habits from publishers who will prioritize meeting their financial quotas and appeasing investors over releasing something that they can truly be proud of and that meets the standards that customers should expect. Speaking of bad habits, that brings us to sponsor of today's video, Fume, a company dedicated to easing the transition of individuals reducing or stopping bad habits. This is an innovative, award-winning device that imitates the motions and actions of bad habits while taking out all of the bad elements involving inhalation of unhealthy chemicals, instead offering a delicious, naturally flavored scent to replace the harmful substances. There are no vapors involved here. Just breathe in and taste something refreshing while performing actions that will scratch the itch of the habit itself. There are plenty of flavors to choose from, with raspberry lemon in particular standing out to me with its zesty fruit punch essence. Inserting the flavored core into the device was super quick and simple, and once I took a hit, the aroma immediately filled my mouth and nose in a really pleasant way. There was no coughing, no irritation, just air that smelled and tasted really freaking good and fresh. The device itself feels very premium with its combination of high quality wood and metal, with magnets holding them together. And the metal part itself rotates to adjust the amount of airflow, and it's also a great way for fidgeters to keep their fingers busy. Fume has also introduced their Solano version of the device, featuring a walnut barrel and an onyx black coated mouthpiece with a smoother finish. Switching to Fume is easy and enjoyable, which is why over 150,000 customers have made the change, with thousands of success stories, and you could be one of them. If breaking destructive habits is up your alley, you can pick up the Journey Pack today by heading to tryfume.com/yongyeah or scanning the QR code and using the code YONGYEAH to get 10% off when you get the Journey Pack today. That's tryfum.com and use code YONGYEAH to save an additional 10% off on your order today. The details can be found as we scroll down. Apparently, this game was made in half the time of previous iterations. It was made in less than a year and a half, and this really just kind of truncated and shortened schedule proved stressful for the development team, I can only imagine. And then further down we have, the process was hurried because this year's game was conceived to fill a gap in the release schedule following the delay of another Call of Duty title previously planned for 2023. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 was originally pitched to staff at Foster City, California-based developer Sledgehammer Games as an expansion to last year's title, but it morphed into a full-fledged sequel during development. Now, there are some folks on the development and publishing side of things who deny that Modern Warfare 3 was initially a DLC or an expansion. So Johanna Ferries, general manager of Call of Duty, said in a Bloomberg TV interview that it's wholly inaccurate that the new game's development timeline was shortened, but she didn't elaborate. Activision spokesperson denied that Modern Warfare 3 was originally an expansion, said it was conceived as a premium game from the start, but this is contrary to what the developers are saying. More than a dozen current and former Call of Duty developers said that conflicts with what they were told at the time. So either there was some mixed messaging behind the scenes, or the companies and the spokespeople are lying or covering their tracks in some way. I, usually tend to believe the developers more, who are there on the ground floor, who are actually, going through the process of making the game. Not to mention that things like the Modern Warfare 2 disc requirement error and Modern Warfare 3 not having a platinum trophy because it's categorized as a DLC for Modern Warfare 2 lend more credence to what the developers are saying about how this was initially conceptualized to be an expansion. Aaron Halen, the studio head of Sledgehammer Games, also said that some team members may have been convinced the new game was an expansion because it is a new type of direct sequel to the previous game, where stuff from Modern Warfare 2 carries over to Modern Warfare 3, allowing players to transfer their weapons and gear from last year's game. But it's hard to believe that so many developers were confused about whether Modern Warfare 3 was an expansion or a full-fledged standalone game. So again, there was either some major miscommunications behind the scenes, or there's some major damage control being done right now. And then the article continues, some staff at Sledgehammer said that they felt betrayed by the company because they were promised they wouldn't have to go through another shortened timeline. 16 months to make a full-fledged Call of Duty game is actually insane. It explains why the campaign is only 3 to 4 hours, and it explains why those 3 to 4 hours don't feel all that substantial, all that fleshed out, and just not at the highest quality that we'd come to expect from the series. The reboot ate into the schedule and forced the developers to complete the new campaign in roughly 16 months, the shortest development time for a new Call of Duty game in years. Now, Sledgehammer Games, the primary developer of Modern Warfare 3, have taken to Twitter to issue the following statement where they do address Bloomberg and Jason Schreier's report. So here's what that statement reads like. From the start of development, we have all been laser focused on creating the next groundbreaking Call of Duty game. Long before we wrapped up our previous game, we heard loud and clear from fans about the desire to stay and play together for longer within the same series, and that's what we have delivered, referring to the fact that you can transfer stuff from Modern Warfare 2 into Modern Warfare 3, and those two games being very, closely tied together. The first true sequel in franchise history, they say. It is also why we added features like Carry Forward for the first time to honor the investment our players have made in the Modern Warfare series. But a lot of people feel like this is just a way to try to veil the fact that this was originally supposed to be an expansion, which is why stuff carries over. But Sledgehammer Games insists that this was always going to be this major standalone experience, this direct sequel kind of a thing. We're proud to be the team to lead the way on Modern Warfare 3. We have worked hard to deliver on this vision, which has been, and this is where they deny Jason Schreier's report, years in the making. Anything said to the contrary is simply not true. This is a denial of Jason Schreier's claim based on what he heard from his sources that the game was only made in a year and a half. Sledgehammer Games claim that this game has been years in the making, though they don't specify exactly how many years. Obviously, I cannot tell you 100% for sure who is right and who's wrong, but Jason Schreier's track record speaks for itself, and the fact that so many sources have spoken to him and have kind of been saying the same thing about how this started out as essentially a DLC or expansion and how this game was only made in 16 months. I'm more inclined to believe the developers who have been anonymously speaking out, and I'm more inclined to believe Jason Schreier's report over this vague statement that is very much like a PR thing that they put out there. Now, in the comments section of this thread, there are some who are expressing gratitude for, I guess, the multiplayer aspect of Call of Duty. Some people are expressing positivity, saying thank you for making a good Call of Duty game. Thank you for making a game that stays true to the core principles of Call of Duty multiplayer. But unfortunately, there are also some rough spots that are worth highlighting. Namely, here's a report from IGN. Modern Warfare 3 multiplayer maps are already being pulled because of bad spawn points. So there's an issue right now where for certain maps, players will spawn in places that are very obvious, so you can be shot down very easily, or the spawn points are just all kinds of wonky and it disrupts the gameplay experience. So IGN reports here that one map in particular, Quarry, when played on the hardpoint game mode, was found to spawn players in the same spot over and over again, letting the opposing team gun them down for fun, just kind of camp out the spawn point and make the game untenable. The development team has become aware of this issue, so they put out the following statement saying, Quarry, Rundown, and Scrapyard have been temporarily removed from hardpoint playlists while we investigate an issue causing unfavorable spawns, is kind of a light way to put it. And then here's one more. Karachi has been temporarily removed from the Cutthroat playlist while we work to resolve an issue causing a player to spawn alongside enemies. So that's a pretty significant issue. And with the maps of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 already not being, as robust and as, just really new feeling as they could be, the fact that they had to temporarily remove some of this stuff, and that's just not, it doesn't bode well for the launch of this multiplayer experience, whose single player experience that's been paired with it has been so critically panned. And so over time we'll see how all of this goes, but right now, it's all pretty negative PR. There's not a whole lot here that is being received very positively, save for aspects of multiplayer that people do feel have been adjusted in a positive direction. Generally, though, I think many will agree that the annualized cycle of Call of Duty, the annualized release of these games, is just hurting the franchise in the long term. It's clear that the developers just don't have enough time to make new Call of Duty entries that really feel fully fleshed out, that feel like they're worth that $70 asking price, that feel like a lot of consideration was put into them, because there's only so much developers can do with the amount of time given, especially if we're talking about 16 months. And so a lot of people are calling for Call of Duty to just take more breaks, to delay their big entries, and to stop trying to just factory manufacture them, essentially. But so long as people keep buying these games, so long as it helps their financial quotas, and so long as this kind of annualized release cycle helps Activision appease investors, none of this is going to change. So really, money talks. You have to speak with your wallet, otherwise this cycle will continue. But yeah, that's everything you need to know about the current state of Modern Warfare 3. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts and opinions are on the game. If you've played it, what's your experience been like with the campaign and the multiplayer? And to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.